Alright guys, welcome back to the channel. Thank you so much for tuning in. I'm super excited to get this thing installed on the Outback. This right here is the ScanGauge 3 by Linear Logic. And what this does is it monitors, tracks, measures, and even diagnoses anything about your car. This allows you to monitor your vehicle's vital systems in real time, and it works with almost any vehicle 1996 and newer. This thing should be compatible. And for the Subaru folks out there, if you're familiar with the AccessPort, then this is something similar, except it doesn't alter the ECU or anything like that. But first and foremost, big shout out to Linear Logic for sending me this ScanGauge. I really appreciate it. My plan for this video is to do an unboxing and a brief demonstration on what the ScanGauge can provide for your vehicle. And in this case, I am going to be installing it in the 2022 Subaru Outback Wilderness. With that said, let's go ahead and see what's inside. Alright, so inside the box you have the quick start guide, a bunch of other papers, the OBD2 cable here with the part number in case you need a replacement or an extra one. And then we have, looks to be a mount for the unit. So that's a good thing to note, is this does include a mount. And if you've ever seen the ScanGauge 2, this is actually a lot bigger than that. So that's probably why they included a mount. But here's the unit itself. And size-wise, I'm just on their site. This is about 5 inches in length, 1 inch thick, and 3.2 inches tall. So yeah, I think the first thing to do is let's get the mount situated. All right. So it is a magnetic mount. And then it also includes the backing, the magnet. So we gotta go in the car and basically figure out where we want to stick this. And this is a fairly strong magnet, if you guys are wondering. So mine came assembled, but if you guys are wondering the order of this thing, simply like this. You have the ball right there, the adjustment ring, and then the actual magnet head, like so. Like I said, I'm gonna go into the car, get the ideal placement, and then use the alcohol pad, wipe this down, and then stick this on here. And like I mentioned to you guys, we're gonna be trying this out on the 22 Outback Wilderness, but I do wanna film another video to use this thing for the S2000s. So yes, let's go ahead and figure out where to mount this thing. So I'm pretty content with this spot right here. It's really not digging into the dash. And there's a gap right here where the side airbag is. We should be good to mount it right here. All right, so I think I found the perfect spot for the magnet. What I'm gonna choose to do is just mount it directly in the center, or as close as I can get it to the center, like so. And then yeah, I'll show you guys where I ended up mounting it on the windshield as well. First is to use this alcohol pad back of the unit, get rid of the oils and stuff like that. All right, now that that's dry, let's go ahead and get the double-sided tape. And like I said, we'll aim for the center. Okay, I think that's a good spot right there. Don't be thrown off. This port right here is not in the center, so I went off of these little the vents just to get this thing lined up in the center. Give that a couple minutes to cure, and then let's get this thing plugged in. All right, so if you guys are unaware, the OBD2 is always gonna be on the driver's side. It's a little dark down here, but it is right here where my hand is, so just a little below this right there. So go ahead and plug this in. And then as far as the mount goes, I have mine like so. Make sure it's tight. And it should give us that perfect angle. There we go, look at that. Again, not digging into the dash, and it's not touching the A-pillar right here. So that's where we want it. So as far as the cable management goes, what I ended up doing was I popped this cover off right here where the fuses are, and then took the smaller end that goes to the ScanGauge itself, and then I basically just fished it through this way and tucked it under right here. So I know it's hard to see, but if we were to look at it, you can't see anything. The OBD2 is right here, and then I routed the cable up through here on the back side, and then right here on the sides. You can still see it there, but I'll push that in later. And then I ran it just all the way up along here. Again, I will push this in, and then made its way to the back of the ScanGauge. So it's a nice and clean setup. You can't see the cable and nothing is dangling. So that's how I have this thing set up. All right, so I ended up reparking outside just for more brightness. Let's go ahead and plug this in. Come on, there we go. Okay, let's see where we're at. And I know the first thing I need to do is download some updates via Wi-Fi, so don't go too far away from your house. Okay, so after we plug it in, this is the first thing we're looking at. So would you like a quick tutorial? Let's hit yes, why not? Oh, that's cool. So brightness works by dragging 2 fingers up and down, so that's pretty cool. And yes, it is touchscreen. All right, so I moved it here for the ease of recording this video, and we're still at the tutorial stage. So you can scroll through the available gauges by swiping up or down on the list. All right, let's hit next. You can select a gauge by tapping on it, then tapping it again, or hit select. Concludes the tutorial. Yeah, let's disable that upon startup. So now we're back to the main screen. The first thing I know for a fact that we need to do is download the update. That's according to Linear Logic themselves. So just right here on the home page, let's go ahead and hit more, setup, and then we go to advanced, Wi-Fi update, check for updates, just select your Wi-Fi. All right, so once you enter in your password, it's gonna ask you if you wanna save the credentials for the Wi-Fi. I hit yes. We wanna update to the 1.25 so that it works properly with the Outback Wilderness. Again, this is a 2022. Highlight that, select, and then download will begin shortly. So it's a good idea to keep the car running, or if you have a battery tender, for this entire process. So we'll wait for this to update, and then we'll proceed with the setup. All right. So let's hit accept. All right, so now we're back to the home page. Hit more, XGauge. So XGauge is basically just custom downloadable vehicle specific gauges or information. So now that we're on the XGauge screen, let's go to auto scan. Let's go find Subaru there, select, start scan. And then ATF, okay, that's good. Let's select. I'm just gonna go down the list actually. Show you guys what's available. Select all, save that. And now, let's go back home. Let's go to gauge. Now that we're on this screen, you can see various types of data that's available. And there's 3 screens of it. All right, so let's go ahead and pull up the transmission fluid temperature, and I'm gonna be replacing the trip MPG. So we select that. So you're on your standard tab, you're not gonna find it here. What you wanna do is go to your XGauge tab here, and ATF Temp, right there. So select that, and it should be displayed right there. It's 102 degrees Fahrenheit. This should have came from factory. All right, so the next important piece of information I think we should have is the coolant temperature. So I know with the Outbacks, it gives you the water temp, whether that's normal or cold, normal, hot, but it doesn't give you a value. So let's go ahead and pull that up on the ScanGauge. I'm gonna be replacing the trip distance right here, and it's gonna default to the X gauge because we were there. Let's see. I think that's one of the ones that came available, so I think it should be under standard. Coolant temp right there. Select, and looks like we're at 192. Let's see, trip fuel used. I think that's, I don't know, that might be useful. Trip cost, we'll get that updated. I know I was supposed to enter in the size of the engine and the fuel tank capacity. And then the next piece of information that I want, and I really miss having this from the AccessPort on my WRX, is the boost pressure. So unfortunately, the Outback does not provide you with that information from the factory. So let's go ahead and pull that up. Let's go to trip time. Might be under standard. Yep, right there. Boost pressure, select, and when we drive, we should see how much boost and PSI this is putting out, which is really cool. And so just going through the list here, yes, there's a bunch of information that you can show. Engine oil temp, we already have that available from the factory, but you know what, let's go ahead and add it and compare it to what I see here. So I'm seeing 192 degrees Fahrenheit, and I'm looking over here just at the display of the Outback, and it's showing the same exact number, 192. So which is good. That's pretty accurate. Let's see what else we have. So yeah, there's just a bunch of information that's available, which is really cool. Engine load, might as well add that as well. Engine torque, also cool. Why not? And then what else? Yeah, there's just a ton of things that we can add. Yeah, so like I said, there's a bunch of information that you can present on here, but I got some of the basic ones that I miss from my WRX to the Outback. All right, so we're back on the home page. Let's go to more, setup, vehicle. All right, tank size, I think we are at, if I'm not mistaken, 18.5. And then this is 2.4, fuel type gas, obviously. Units, I should have done this to begin with. Yes, we're in Fahrenheit, miles, we're in gallons, PSI, currency is dollar, and then yeah, that should do it. And I do want to add that the screen is very responsive, barely have to tap it, and it doesn't look cheap. It has that true color to it, which is a nice touch, and you can change whatever color you want it to be. So I'm gonna go ahead and get this thing mounted back up to the windshield right here. Okay, so I'm just curious what happens if I shut off the engine. I mean, it should turn off. All right, so I looked away from the screen just to Google it, but it says right here, yes, the ScanGauge will automatically turn off into sleep mode about 12 seconds after the vehicle is turned off. Shut the car off and it powers off, and turn it on and it powers up normally. Let's see. And so it's back to showing all the data that we initially set up. So like I said, I missed the information that the AccessPort from Cobb provided on my WRX. Yes, I keep comparing my WRX to the Outback, but if you think about it, they are pretty similar in terms of engine and specs and everything like that. That's what I missed the most about the WRX, was having the AccessPort information available. I know that Cobb came out with the AccessPort not too long ago, but at the price point that I saw, I quickly changed my mind against it. Maybe in the future I will give it a shot, but that brings up the whole issue about warranty claims being denied, and I just don't want to get into it with this car like I did with the WRX. Once I began modifying that car, there was no going back, and I'm trying my best to avoid that with this car. So again, the biggest difference with the AccessPort and this ScanGauge 3 right here is that this doesn't alter anything with the ECU, so you can plug it in and remove it as you'd like, and it's not going to void any warranty claims. Yes, I'm saying warranty claims because technically the warranty is not voided, it is the warranty claim, so I'm pretty specific when it comes to that. But yes, this will provide you data that the AccessPort provides at a much lower cost, and I feel like it's more intuitive with the touchscreen and user-friendly, which is cool. So yes, I learned a lot from the AccessPort, and I'm super excited to learn how to use this thing and just learn the car. Once you learn all this stuff, you feel a lot more connected to the car. You're not questioning anything because you have the active data right here. And again, just the boost pressure wasn't even available from the factory, but this has it available, and all the other stuff I mentioned, like coolant temps, transmission fluid temps, and a lot of the other pieces of information that I didn't mention. So that's gonna be it for this video, you guys. If you're curious on which active data is available for the Outback, let me know in the comments below and I'll see if I can pull it up. But for now, I think these are the key pieces of information that you would need in order to just learn the car and feel more connected to it. So I'm gonna go ahead and wrap up this video. Again, big shout out to Linear Logic for sending me this. If you guys have any questions, also let me know in the comments below. Thank you guys so much for watching, and as always, I'll catch you guys in the next one.